Hello and welcome to this week's video. This is episode 3 of season 3. And this week Joseph wanted to talk about something I'm not super familiar with. So I'm going to let you take it from here.
Okay, so have you heard of the term growth mindset?
Growth mindset.
I think we talked about it very briefly on this podcast before. I might have mentioned it very slightly.
I mean, let me give my definition of what
Okay, go ahead and try and guess.
I think it could be. Growth mindset. I'm assuming that is probably someone who always is in the mindset to learn something, to always be growing, and to not say that they know basically everything. So always in a mindset to learn. I would say. Very basic.
All right, and then the contrast idea is something called the fixed mindset. What do you think that is?
Basically the opposite of what I just said. Someone who doesn't have a mindset to learn and that.
Yeah. So you're pretty much all around it. You're pretty much right. The fixed mindset is something that thinks that like the information or the things that they've learned, they've already learned, and they're not in a place where they want to grow. They feel like they're not going to get better. You might not. A lot of people deal with are either one of these two kinds of situations. I don't want to say they're these kind of people because that would be disingenuous, because people can change. People can, if they have one kind of mindset, you can just determine to have a growth mindset. If they have a fixed mindset, it's not something that you're bound to and you can't fix it. But the idea is, and the reason I want to talk about this is because there's a little book that I've been reading called Mindset. And so if someone has a growth mindset, they're like what you said. They are, willing to learn, willing to know they don't know everything, and willing to know that there's a lot of information that they can learn, and they have an excitement and a desire to learn it. It's an eagerness to want to grow and get better, and to be aware that they're not going to be, and they're not currently at this place of just being comfortable with where they're at and knowing that they're going to, stay that way. And then it's this, you're right, where it's the opposite. The fixed mindset is someone who's like, okay, I'm not really comfortable learning anything new. I know what I'm going to know for now, and I'm going to shy away from things that is going to challenge me, or things that are going to put me in a hard position because I don't know how to maneuver those waters yet. And that's something where it becomes a place of stagnant in your life. I wanted to talk about that because I feel like we've been talking on a number of these episodes of that kind of concept and that kind of idea in our own lives. Where would you say that you've seen? Let's start with the negative, I guess, if you want.
The negative.
Yeah. So where would you say
in my life, or just
where would you say that you have seen maybe in your own life where you've seen some areas that you've had a fixed mindset?
A fixed mindset.
Yeah. If you don't have
this
any,
isn't really a fixed mindset, but just off the top of my head, sometimes I feel like, oh, I've done this and I don't want to have to go and do more right now, so I'm kind of lazy. Not that saying that in the future I won't do more, but just right now I feel like oh, I've done enough at this current point. So right now I don't have to push myself to do better. Right now I can just give myself a little chance, and then eventually I'll get better. That's kind of a little bit more.
It's like in the moment fixed mindset. You become a little content with what you learn right now, and you don't want to put yourself in a position where you're uncomfortable in the moment. Not that you're saying you're not willing to, but later you just want to be in the moment a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah.
I do the same thing. And I feel like I struggle with this a lot more maybe than you do. Because I know I'm young and I know there's a lot that I have to learn, and I'm trying to adapt my mind to think in a growth mindset kind of way. But
Hmm.
I find myself constantly being like, okay, I am not, you know, that good at my skills. I'm not as good as other people. I'm not as good as some of the best people or even people I see around me. And so I'm never going to be that good. I'm just kind of who I am. And I had to try to get by and maybe trick some people into thinking I'm better at something instead of just thinking, no, own up to the things I don't know and let it
Yeah.
be a challenge in my life to get better. Because most of the time, although they're hard circumstances, they're not necessarily big catastrophic situations. You're not like necessarily threatening to, you know, like for example, when I moved to the area, I got a number of video positions where I was being interviewed for and got turned down. And in those moments, in those moments I found myself where there's a big decision. Either I'm going to say, okay, I'm not good enough because these people don't want me. And so I'm never going to be good enough. And so my future in videography and my skills just aren't good enough for the industry. And I'm kind of screwed. You know what I mean? Those are
Yeah.
kind of, and allowing yourself to have that kind of self talk. Those are kind of areas that is really negative and really stagnant, fixed mindsets of living. And then the growth mindset would simply be, okay, I I didn't get these positions. I know I have a lot to learn, but I also used to not know anything and I've gotten to where I am now, you know? And so
Yeah.
I can keep growing. I can keep going down that trajectory and keep getting better. And there's going to be other opportunities that I can apply for. And at some point, I believe I'm going to get something, which actually I did. I've recently got a job in video that I'm very happy to have done. But if I were to be fixed mindset and say, okay, I'm not good enough in like the 3 positions I got rejected from that I interviewed for, I wouldn't have applied to this one that I've got, because I would have said after 3 tries and getting so close and not getting it, I would have been, I'm just not good enough. And that's just who I am and how I am, you know?
Yeah, it kind of makes me think of a podcast that I'm listening to kind of, oh, not right now, but just once in a while I listen to his podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's by this YouTuber. He's a YouTuber, but he runs his own business.
Yeah.
BPN. It's Bear Performance Nutrition. He
Mm-hmm.
he what he does is he just ran an Ironman recently, and I watched videos of him trying to lead up to that Ironman and do that. And in his podcast, he
Yeah.
talked about when he started his business and everything. His goal was every single day for a year he was going to make it a point to learn one thing every
Yeah.
day. And that way, like, he started a business and he didn't know how. He said the first thing that he just said he was going to learn was how to code a website so he can have his own website to sell
Mm-hmm.
his products on. And then he kind of learned how to do business and did that after that. I wouldn't say that I have a mindset to learn one thing every day,
Mm-hmm.
um, but he had this mindset of learning something every day, and that's definitely what you were talking about with that
Yeah.
mindset of learning something and never not staying stagnant.
Yeah.
So
Um, I guess now at this point it was 2 videos ago. You had talked. We opened up the season. You talking about your experience. You talking about the getting involved with WiseWorks and you going through that period of time where you were really sick. Um, I can tell in your life right now that you are striving and working hard to have a really, or at least growing your ability to have a really strong growth mindset in your life.
yeah,
Um, what would you say? what do you think your mindset was like during that period of when you were dealing with the sickness a little bit? Talk to me, and even maybe before the sickness. What was some of that, your mindset as you reflect on your past self? What do you think might have changed that, to have this new mindset that you have these days?
So I can't think of like a specific time where I like said I wasn't going to have a fixed mindset, but I know just
Mm-hmm.
going through all that, I kind of set my mind once it was over and said that I was going to strive to do the best I can and just
Yeah.
every day do a little bit more to get better and better. Um, that's a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people think, especially when they do anything. In January,
Yeah.
people have New Year's resolutions. They're like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to better myself. It's a new year. It's a new me. The reason
Yeah.
why 90% of people fail with their resolutions is because they do that. Um, I
Yeah.
know for me, even if I stop working out or doing something that is bettering me, um, it takes me a while to get back into it. And I can't just jump right back into it. I have to make a small step and a
Mm-hmm.
small step and a small step to get back into it and to do what I need to do. If
Yeah.
I stop working out for a while, if I stop going to the gym, I go back 1 or 2 days a week. Then I go back 3 days a week.
Mm-hmm.
Then 4 days a week. I don't just throw myself all in there because, for one, you're setting yourself up for failure. You have to gradually build yourself
Yeah.
over time to become the person you need to be, the person you want to be, to better yourself
Yeah.
for everything. To be, uh, I know we've discussed this before, not on this podcast, but with friends and how like Spartan warriors,
Mm-hmm.
how that their mindset was
Yeah.
with. Yes, when we think of Spartans, we think of the movies that we see, the Hollywood movies and
Yeah.
everything. How like they were great fighters and they were very savage and what, but they were also very manly men. I mean, the Spartan warriors,
Mm-hmm.
like even like people who went in the Colosseums and things like that, they strive to be the manliest
Yeah.
man, the warrior that, yeah, the
The greatest
greatest,
warriors, yeah, the people who
yeah,
conquer and the
and
people that are gonna win, that are gonna
yeah,
be
the
the victors.
victors and the one that won the crown and basically how they were the manliest men and the strongest men. So if I was gonna leave you with anything, I would say set a mindset to be the best you can, but don't just
Mm-hmm.
jump into it and say, "Hey, I'm going to be the best I can." Set small goals. Say, "What's the
Yeah.
picture when I see it, the best I can be? What is that picture?" Make a picture, maybe write it
Yeah.
down if you can, and then
Mm-hmm.
say tackle one of those things at a time. Once you master that or get that set in your life, then go on to the next thing. So you're not doing all
Yeah.
these huge things at once, but you're tackling one thing at a time. So that's my thought on it. What
Yeah.
is your thought?
That's good. I like how even we say the term growth
Mm,
mindset, but even in order to have a growth mindset to play it out into reality, you have to have a physical growth
yeah,
period. And that's what you're saying, that there's not something that you have to be willing to be patient and take things one at a time. You were talking about working out and building your body. I would say that if someone, a fixed mindset with that kind of attitude would be like, I can't physically do the things that's required to get skinny or to get fit, or to drop weight so I'm not overweight. Um, and that's, or just saying like it's too hard, or I can't do a pull up, and just deciding that you somehow don't have the physical makeup in order to do a pull up. Well, yeah, you can't right now. That's where you're at physically. But growth is like what Joshua said, it's persistent, it's step by step, and you have to come at it with a step by step growth mindset to be able to do the step-by-step physical attributes Josh was talking about in order to see any kind of success. And it's the same way with building a business. It's the same way that we're trying to tackle getting this started. It's the same way with anything, with just even if you don't like reading books and you want to say, I want to read more books. Well, you still have to read books the same way, like one page at a time, and eventually you'll get it done. But it's still the growth mindset. There's so many aspects of life where you might not realize it, but you have this perspective that is, I just can't do this, or this is just not for me, or I'm not physically or mentally able to do this thing. And you might not even realize it, but internally you've accepted that you can't do it, even if you want to. And I'm just saying that's not true. We're humans, and we can just, if we decide and we have a perspective shift to decide that we're going to grow step by step, then that perspective shift is literally called the growth mindset, where you start deciding mentally that you can do it. And so you start working towards that. And yeah, there's going to be times where it's hard, where it's difficult or challenging. But the thing is, you have to be aware those things aren't there to just stop you. They're there to challenge you so you can get better. You know, a challenge is always a chance for you to get better or to just sink, you know?
True, yeah.
And so, yeah, that I like how you brought that aspect of physical health and working out and building yourself physically into it, because a lot of times you have to be able to mentally get there before you can physically get there.
That is
and
true.
your mindset is going to be what is the determining factor in that. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much it. Leave a comment if you have an area of your life where you're seeing a fixed mindset, or maybe it was fixed and then it turned, you've naturally changed your perspective and got a growth mindset about something specific, like Joshua did after he was sick, or when he was sick. And let's start a conversation about this topic, because I think it's something that we can all benefit from to renew our minds and to meditate on throughout our days that we're living, to think what areas are we living a fixed mindset, and let's try to fix those together.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I guess we'll just end it. I appreciate you guys watching.
Subscribe to this YouTube channel, and like our other social medias, Instagram, Facebook.
We'll see you in the next video.